Hi, I'm Graham Blackburn and this is Traditional Woodworking by Hand. And in our continuing series on basic tools, we're going to be talking about edge treatments. Hi, I'm Graham Blackburn and this is Traditional Woodworking by Hand. And in our continuing series on the chapters on one of the books, one of the many books that I've written, which you can find if you go to my website, we're going to be talking about things that you can do to the edge of the workpiece. That's why we call it edge treatments. Now the first thing, of course, is you want something to be flat and straight. So you're using plane like this. I'm using a nice wooden plane, but same thing is true of a metal Stanley plane. And the thing to remember is that you can't plane anything flatter than the flatness of the plane itself, the plane sole, which is one reason why I really enjoy using these wooden planes, because they get worn over time, but then all that's necessary is to put them upside down, retract the blade and plane them flat with another plane. And the moment that I can get a continuous shaving with a plane whose sole I know to be flat, then I know that this is perfectly flat. What I don't know, however, is whether the side, the edge, is perfectly perpendicular in relation to the next face of it. One of the great rules of woodworking is that there is very little that you do freehand, and that's true of planing. I can show you all kinds of things that will help with planing, how you hold the tote, how it's often better to start at this end than this end, how you press down here and using your fingers as a fence, and then when you get to the end, you release this and you press down here. But nevertheless, even when I get to the point where I'm taking a continuous shaving all the way along, assuming the plane is set properly, all I know is that the edge is perfectly flat. I don't know that it's necessarily perfectly square. If I were to check it with a square, I might see, oh, it's definitely sloping. So, according to one of the great rules of woodworking, I need a device, and the common device to use is known as a shooting board. It has a table, it has a bed, and it has a table, and you simply put the workpiece on the top, and you take a plane, almost any plane will do, which, provided you know its sole is perfectly flat and that the side that you run the plane on is absolutely perpendicular to the sole, as you can see it is here, like this, then simply by planing like this, you will end up planing something that's absolutely not only perfectly flat, but also perfectly straight. Bingo. So that's the simplest thing. Now, of course, there are all kinds of planes, and not all workpieces will fit on a shooting board. If you have a really long board, then you need a plane much longer called a jointed plane. But the same thing is basically true, that you have to make sure that the sole is absolutely flat. And then you can add a fence to the side of the plane, something like that, and that will help guide the plane so that it remains perpendicular. Now, I talk a lot about Stanley planes in these episodes, and for the most part I prefer the wooden planes because, well, Stanley came up with some good ideas, but Stanley planes also need to be made flat, and that often requires trips to a machine shop or something. But there are a couple of Stanley planes that I would like to show you that do precisely what we did here. Make the edge flat and make it perfectly square. Here's the piece of wood, and put it in, and here is what's known as a side plane. And it has a built-in fence and a skewed blade. And if I put the built-in fence to it, because it's at perfect right angle, when I take a shaving here, as you can see, now I've got not only the straight edge, but I've got the nice perpendicularity, right? So here's another version, another Stanley plane that will do the same thing. It has a skewed blade and a fence, which allows you to make sure that what you're planing on the top is absolutely perpendicular to the face of the wood. And in fact, you could do it the other way around too, especially these ones with fences. So that's the basic edge treatment. You want a flat, straight edge. There are other planes designed for curved wood, but we'll get into that later. But for the moment, let's just stay with a square edge. What else can you do with a square edge? Well, you could take a round plane or a hollow plane, and you can use this, and if you keep on going, this will make a really nice rounded edge. Hollows and rounds, by the way, were made in sets, and different manufacturers used different numbering devices. Usually on the heel of the toe there's either a number or a measurement, and what that is telling you is what size circle this particular cove is exactly a sixth of. We won't go into why that's important, other than to say that if you're making really high class stuff, one of the important things is that all the dimensions of your workpiece should have some relationship to one another. You can't just arbitrarily put stuff together and expect that it will work. It's not as if you could just go to Home Depot, for example, and buy a piece of molding for the door. It won't necessarily look right or be the right thing. But this is an example of how in the old days we paid attention to this. Now, what else can you do? Well, you can put a slope on one side. There's two kinds of slopes, and they get confused a lot. They're called bevels and they're called chamfers. The difference is that the chamfer extends equally on both sides of the corner that it's cutting down. If it extends more on one side than it does on the other side, it's simply a bevel. But for the moment, let's talk about chamfers. Here is a chamfer plane. You can see it's perfect right angle and it has a sole. And if I put this on the wood here, keep the sole onto it, eventually I will form a perfect chamfer, which will be the same depth in as it is down. A little more advanced than perhaps either a curve or a chamfer is some kind of molding. Now, the simplest kind of molding is simply a bead. Here's a beading plane, and these come in a lot of different sizes too. And they work by holding the plane up against the wood, and you just plane forward, and it cuts a really nice bead, and it cuts it nicely square. And you can do that on one edge. You can turn the wood over, do it on the face side, and you can end up with a curved section, a corner bead. A little more advanced, and we could go on for a long time here in this vein, is a molding plane. Now, people don't pay much attention to moldings anymore, but there's two things that you should be aware of. Firstly, most moldings that we use or used to use in woodworking derive ultimately from stonework moldings, and they all had functional purposes. If you look at the moldings on, say, an old castle or a cathedral or something like that, there's a reason for these different shapes. It sheds the water, it leads things over, it masks, different imperfections and whatever. And one of the commonest ways of doing that you'll see a lot is a molding that we call an ogee. Now, ogee is just the Latin word for S. So if you look at the end of this, you'll see that it's like a letter S. But here's an example of the degree of finesse that old woodworking had. This S here is a little cove and a little round over, and I can do it either side. I can work on the piece of wood. Let me see, I can do it here. I do it like this. You can see I'm making the cove. And if I continue, I'll make the round thing. The point that I want to make is that as an example of the finesse of all this design work, if these two curves, the round one and the hollow one, if they are formed from parts of an oval, then they belong to the Greek family of mouldings. Whereas if they form parts of a circle, they derive from Roman mouldings. Now, I don't expect you to remember that or get that, but I mention it because in old woodworking that we did for the last 500 years, people paid attention to all that stuff, and ignoring it just produces things that don't really match. It ends up giving you something like a Rolls-Royce hood on a VW Beetle. So those are just some of the things that you need to know if you want to do edge treatments. So as I said before, please go to the website. I think it's up here. And by all means subscribe and have fun treating your edges with respect and interest. Thank you.